Do you have your own business? Are you struggling with keeping a balance in your life, right? How do you deal with the stressors? How do high-driven people deal with the stressors, the focus, the mental health of it all? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode, right? A little whining and undining about our mental stressors and how we deal with them, right? So we're going to get into the episode. What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. BlackWealth.
Hey, it's your girl, Miss Fabfinancial, the other half, the feminine side.
That's right.
Of the podcast.
And we want to welcome you all to our Mind Your Biz podcast, where we talk to business owners, entrepreneurs, investors, real estate investors about how to make more money, how to pay less in taxes, how to grow and scale your business, how to become that CEO. Right, those are the type of topics we talk about in its totality, right? So even though we might not speak on the LLC structure, right, but everything we speak on has something to do and affects business in some
Absolutely.
shape, form,
and how you
fashion.
operate business, how you run your business. So minding your biz is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So what your family life looks like, your spouse, your partner, how you run your business, and of course your mental health,
For
right?
sure.
Which is super important. Your mental capacity to push through.
Yeah.
Because business is not easy.
Yeah.
And it demands a lot of us, as we talked about in previous episodes, right? Because you're dealing with a lot of external stressors, internal from your house, right? You have clients, right? The financial stressors, maybe you're not hitting the goals that you want. So it could cause mental anguish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to have a routine or something to redirect to help release stress, right? So that you don't have a mental break, right? Some people reach their peak, right? We hear a lot of times celebrities or regular folks that just have mental breaks. They have to check themselves in. They have to unplug, right? Because sometimes as business owners, we're running at a high pace. We're focusing so much on the business, and typically what that means is we're being pulled, right? As a business owner, especially if you have customers, you're demanding, you have employees, it's a lot that rests on your shoulders. And so you have to have a routine or something that you can unplug, that you can free your mind from the everyday stressors of your business. And so when we talk about mental health, I think it's really important for me, is meditation. And I had to learn it because I felt as a Black woman that I was supposed to bear all 5,000 pounds of this gorilla, that I had no space to say, I need help. I can't do it. I felt that I need to do it all. And through...
Why is that?
Because I felt two ways. I'm gonna just be honest with you. Through some childhood unpacking, I realized that I don't like asking for help. That I don't ask for help because it made me seem weak. It made me seem inferior. And also because being raised by a single parent, I wasn't allowed the space to ask for help, right? It was my mom and us, and we got to keep pressing forward. We don't have time for whatever you're feeling, right? Because we got to keep moving forward. We got to pay these bills. You got to finish school. You have to press towards the mark. You got to keep pushing. I didn't have the space or the capacity to feel, right? Whatever that was, I didn't feel that. And some of it is societal, right? As women, especially as a Black woman, you don't have the space to be vulnerable. I'm supposed to bear it all. I'm supposed to be the mom, the wife, the business owner, and I'm supposed to carry it all on my shoulders. Right? There are books that say, how can you have it all? Well, you can't. It's the imbalance that we really have to get used to. And we have to get used to saying, I need help. I cannot do this by myself. And it took some counseling.
So you're
took
saying
some counseling, definitely.
from a direct result from you from the way you was raised made you think that you couldn't ask for help?
For sure. And
Okay.
also too, I couldn't ask for help, but I didn't want to hear the no that they can't help me, right? The fear of being disappointed. Because, I mean, if we want to go into some more unpacking, right? My father, who wasn't there for me, I felt disappointed me. And I don't want to feel that disappointment. I didn't want to feel that. And so if I ask for help, it's a possibility that the person's going to say no and disappoint me. So it's just in the ask for me that through unpacking that I don't ask for help for a few different things. One, the fear of disappointment, the fear of someone letting me down and not showing up for me because my dad didn't, right? And the second half of that is the culture conditioning that as a Black woman, we don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. We don't have time for you to cry. We don't have time for your tears. We don't have time for you to say it's hard. You got to keep pressing forward. And so it built me to be a certain type of machine that now as a grown woman, you tired. I don't want to be the machine anymore sometimes. I am tired. And sometimes I don't think we're given the space to just be tired. Just through generational traumas, as Black Americans, we have to keep pushing forward with the trauma. And being vulnerable and weak, sometimes we just aren't given that space to say, I mentally don't have it. I need to unplug. And I think if we give ourselves, if we lend that to each other more often, I think less and less people will be committing suicide, will be having emotional breaks, because we don't even allow that for each other's as our peer group to say, even for my Black man, you don't have to bear it all. You can be vulnerable. You don't have to feel like you have to take on the weight of the world because it's heavy. We both have a lot. And I think to not acknowledge that and not give ourselves the space to unpack it sometimes, then we're constantly with a backpack of 1,000,000 tons drudging through life. And it makes it difficult. I think we need to seek professional help. I think you need to meditate. You need to pray. For me, especially this year, was really difficult for me. And it allowed me to really understand me and my strengths. It really showed me how resilient I am as a woman, also as a businesswoman, but it also, I was able to see a window into my trauma, into my dysfunction, right? And so a lot of times people say, you can't build a business bigger than you build yourself. A lot of that too is unpacking some of the trauma and the dysfunction, right? And so mine was the lack of accountability and asking for help. Well, I know I can't build a business without help, right? How do you think you're going to be able to run this business on your own and not a mom and pop? You want to be a business. So you're going to need help. And you have to be in a space that you release control and ask for help. And so I had to unpack that. I went through counseling. I joined a mentor, ET. I was able to unpack a lot of childhood traumas and things that allowed me to sit here with you today and free some of my mental anxieties that I can know that I'm trying to unshed, so that as I move forward and try to take my business to the next tier, I'm able to do that with less baggage, right? As you go up the mountain, you're going steep. You got to shed some stuff. You can't go to the top being weighed down by trauma, by mental anguish. You won't be able to breathe.
Yeah, my approach, I guess, as a man is mental health shows up in ways where people, I think that a lot of us have we just can't, we don't know how to communicate. So it's two things. We don't know how to really get to the root and communicate how we feel. That's one. And two, I think that sometimes mental health is a tagline for you not being able to admit that you just can't really handle what it is that you are handling or meant to handle. And I think as a man, um, the things that stresses us out are things that are meant to cause adversity. And so when you look at it, I guess this is kind of like was my point when we kind of discussed like women in business and having those options. I think that the basis of everybody's life is built off the community. And I think that the community is built off individual families. And I think that for most cultures, right, and not necessarily race, but the culture of it, right? Like if we were to go to Africa, we would go to India, we would go to South America, whatever that looks like, right? We lacked our ability to allow we lacked our ability as men to stand on our position, to allow our women to be able to do the things that they need to do as far as the healing in the community. I think that when you think of healers, most times, and maybe it's gender, maybe I'm being like, I don't know what the word is,
bias
a little bit. But when you think about healers, I just think that that's a trait of that's a character within a woman, outside of a man being a healer from a technical or professional standpoint, if that makes sense, right? So I don't even know how I deal with mental health. I don't have like a thing that I can do or go to. What I do know, and I'm, whether it's right or wrong in my own truth of it all, is that there are certain things that's on my plate, period. And I don't think it would change if I was black or white, or if we had trauma or no trauma. I think that men has a makeup to take on more than most people. And I think that those who have challenges with mental health kind of fall under pressure, meaning they can't handle what it is that's been given to them. And a lot of times, sometimes we ask for it and don't realize how it come to us. Like you ask for I want the nice house, I want this, I want that, but then you can't really deal with the pressures that comes with it. And I think that, I'm not saying that mental health is like not important or it's not a factor. I guess I'm just admitting that I just don't know how to, because I know that I still gotta, at the end of the day, we gotta eat, we gotta live, we gotta be comfortable, we gotta be, and I gotta make it. If the world is designed for me not to make it, if I can't go ask Coca-Cola for a job and be C-suite executive in 5 years, what does that look like for me? Do I sit here and cry about it? And not saying that you shouldn't or we couldn't, but maybe we cry for a second, but you still got to keep going. I don't have a, and when you think about highly driven and focused people, I think that men live in parameters. Disciplined men live in disciplined environments. We get certain luxuries based off the disciplined routine that we have. Most people who don't achieve what they want to achieve, who crack under pressure from dealing with mental stress and illnesses, allow the things around them to control them in a way that it becomes overwhelming, right? And I think about that. Like, it's a lot of stuff I deal with right now. I'd be like overwhelmed to the point where I might move a little bit. But what I notice is when I used to get overwhelmed and I would stop doing whatever it is that I was doing, guess what? Whatever it is I stopped doing is still there. I still either got to take care of it or not take care of it. And it's pros and cons that goes with both of it. So, Marcus said something like, I don't believe that there's ever a such thing as balance. And I was like, I wonder where you're going. He said, but I do believe in rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I agree with that. Right? Like, I don't think that there's ever going to be a work-life balance. I don't think that we will ever have a true balance like most people believe. I'm married. If something's going on with my wife, guess what that means? I have to step up and and fulfill the shoes where she's lacking at this moment in time. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes it's vice versa, unless it's not. Like if we living in this, if you a breadwinner, if I'm down and sick, it's only so much you can do, but I still got to do what? Get up and go to work, or get up and make something happen. Sit for a little while before this thing really crumbles. And I think that's why I like to focus on business or money activities. Most people might be like, "Why you talk about money a lot?" Because I think that money affords you the luxury to sit with yourself and have options. I think business is the number one thing that allow you to deal with who you are, because it really wasn't until I started my own business where I started to question how I even think about things. Like, man, business is relationships. I wonder why I can't really build a relationship. Oh, I never really had a good one with my dad. I don't even know if I would say I have a good one with my mom, but then our relationship has been where she's worked, I stayed home type of scenario. So what is that? What is that
Right.
really? Can I come into a situation and build a relationship with you as fast? Why am I even in this whole hurdle of like, I got to do this, I got to do this? Oh, well, when you think about it, well, my dad didn't do what it is that he was supposed to do. And then when you think about it, his dad didn't do what he's supposed to do.
But I think that questioning is a part of freeing up a part of your mental space for something else that's more productive, right? I think when we talk about mental health, it's not like, oh, I can't deal with it, right? I think it's the acknowledgement that I'm feeling overstimulated, that I'm feeling, right? A part of mental health is not like, oh, I'm weak and I can't handle, right? Because we all deal with mental stressors. And how you press forward and navigate through it determines what happens next. Some people can't get out of it, right? Some people get so overly stimulated that they get paralyzed, right? Or they may fall into a depression, right? That's not to say that the person, because we all have it. And I think that's sometimes the issue, is that we don't acknowledge that mental health is something that we all deal with, that we all will deal with. How you deal determines what the next step is. What happens when you turn the page, right? And so as we are overstimulated as business owners, right, we have a laundry list every day of stuff that we got to do, that we have to check off. We got financial goals. We got personnel goals. We got clients that we need to reach out to, right? It becomes a rat race of checking off the list. Well, that could be overstimulating. That could be stressful and burn people out time and time again. So what do you do when that happens? I don't think that acknowledging that is a weak thing. I don't think whether you're a man or a woman, if you say, I am overstimulated, I have a laundry list of shit I got to do, I need to take a break because I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling analysis paralysis. I feel like I could turn it into something. To me, is just acknowledging how you truly feel and not letting you be overstimulated and stressed out to the point that you completely shut down and now you're no use. So I think handling your mental capacity while you're on the same page is to me important. It's key. And what that looks like, I feel like, determines what the next page looks like.
I guess my question would be, though, if you acknowledge it, then what?
You acknowledging that, hey, it's something, I'm feeling something here, right? And sometimes people talk about the emotional intelligence. I feel something here. I'm either overstimulated, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling stressed, right? Even though you can say, well, I still have to press forward, that also ties into our physical health. Usually when people deal with high amounts of stress, their high pressure is up, their blood pressure is high. They sometimes have a heart issue. Like sometimes you don't eat well, you're not exercising because you're so focused on the things on that list. And so I think when you recognize, hey, something's off here, something's not happening here, I think you take a break, or for me, what I do is I have a meditation regimen that I do in the morning, and I center myself. I meditate and I think it's me and God. I use sometimes a guided meditation, right? Or I talk to someone. Hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed, to help me say, okay, well, what's important? What are the things that you have to get done today? Some of the minutia is always going to be there, right? But I think as entrepreneurs, we think that we have to keep checking everything off the list, where there's some things on that list that's more important. The other things that's causing that anxiety, that's causing that anxiousness, should probably die, give it to someone else, or just say, you know what, I'm not dealing with it today. Because I'm feeling overstimulated. I'm feeling like the rat race is where you get the anxiety from, that I'm never finishing the list. Oh my God, I got to finish this, this, and this. And right. And then we sometimes get bogged down by finishing the stuff on the list, that the things 1 through 10 that we're looking at on the list, well, you probably only need to do 2 things on that list that's going to really move the needle for your business. The other stuff probably really doesn't matter. But we think we need to get everything done on that list that causes the anxiety, that causes the angst. They're like, okay, I'm never going to get done. I'm not finished. I'm not this. And so those other things is where we probably need to give it to someone else. Give it to an assistant. Give it to someone that you can ask for help. And I think it's the recognizing the uneasiness that I need to turn the page and figure out why I'm feeling uneasy, why I'm feeling anxious. And I think just do it and press forward is what the problem is. I think to just say, all right, well, I'm a machine. I'm going to just deal with it because I'm a man or I'm a woman, and I'm going to just press forward, where you have so much internalized stress because you're like, I'm just going to keep wearing this 50,000 pound book bag. I don't think it's healthy, because people are more down.
I'm not going to say that it's healthy or not healthy, but I think it's for sure a necessary. I just think I just boil down to like it being what it is. Because even if I'm looking at it, I think this is somewhat problems that I be having with connecting emotionally. Because it's like, from a logical perspective, if I acknowledge to myself, hey, I feel this way. Or even if I acknowledge to you, typically I feel like those people who do that is looking for some type of resolve. And oftentimes we asking somebody to help resolve it who probably have never been in the shoes we are in, or have different type of concerns and stressors that's different. And so, but what I found is, from keeping going, you end up finding your own resolve. You end up like soothing it out. You end up like figuring out like how to best know yourself on what to do, what not to do. It's about giving yourself a structure that we always revert to, with a little bit of flexibility, but within the confines of this structure. Like if I got a morning routine, if I get up in the morning, if I go work out, my day might go like this. If I sit with God, if I talk with my wife, talk with my kids, my day might go like this, right? And we know we got a routine that we could do something every single day. Sometimes we'll, get a little loose out of that, but I think that's part of the resolve. I don't disagree, recognizing it. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, hey, I feel this, but I'm also trying to get to the point where if I say I feel this, what is the resolve, and how fast can I cure this or fix this or change this scenario?
And I think that's why it's important to have people and places and things in your life, like you said, that can help you navigate through that. But I think the issue is, I think the first step is acknowledging I'm feeling something, right? That's causing my blood pressure to rise. That's causing me to eat unhealthy. That's causing me not to exercise because I'm so focused on completing the task and running my business. And running your business sometimes causes unhealthy habits, right? Because you're so focused on completing the thing. So our first thing I think is recognizing the feeling, the emotion, the change in behavior, right? Something is going on there, the anxiety, the overstimulation, and then reaching out for help. right? To say, hey, I mean, I have a close friend of mine. It's like a sister now who specializes in mental health. And I call her like, hey, this is a situation. I'm feeling this. And she walks me off the ledge, right? If I need a person to talk to me, right? If it's bigger than me going in my closet and praying and meditating. Sometimes it's bigger than that, right? Sometimes people need medication. Now, I'm not a medication person, but I'm not like opposed to it if a person feels like they need it, right? So I think A is recognizing what it is, and B, seeking help. And I don't think the different types of help negates or makes you less productive in what you're doing, right? I think especially as Black Americans, when Black suicide rates are higher than ever, means that we have a problem because we don't talk about our trauma. We don't talk about the way we feel. We internalize it and keep pressing forward. But I don't think that's healthy. I don't think just pressing forward and saying, yep, we stressed out, I just got to keep going is healthy, especially at this day and age. I mean, 60 years ago, yeah, you had to press forward or you would be killed or hung. You didn't have the flexibility to vocalize how you felt. Today,
it's like that.
You don't think so? You think you don't think you could vocalize how you feel? Or you no?
No. It's still like that. Right? It's still like that. Especially as a man, I'm speaking for me and any man that probably can relate. Right? Like, because what do you think about what that looks like?
That doesn't make you less of a man.
I didn't say that it did.
Oh,
but I'm just saying,
because you said you don't have the space for that. You said
but not having the space and you thinking that you less of a man, I personally think it's two different things. I don't think I'm less than nothing. I just don't think that we have the space to I don't think that we live in a world where we just have the luxuries. I don't know if it's just me being a man or if it's a Black man. I haven't talked to most white men. But most high-driven men, I feel, right, you live in a space where you, it's kind of really you. It's you. You might have some companionship. You might have like friends and stuff like that.
So you don't think you don't have anyone that you could talk to and say, yo, I'm feeling stressed. I feel like that you can, and that doesn't mean you sit in sadness and cry for 4 days. What I'm saying is, as a man, you should have the space to talk to another man or a woman, but another man that you could say, yo, I'm not feeling it today. I'm feeling stressed out. Yeah, I feel like as a man, I got the weight of my shoulder, of the world on my shoulders, and I need to take a break. And you don't have a male friend that says, well, let's go walk. Let's go ride the bikes.
No.
Let's go
no.
hit the golf course.
No.
You think you should have that?
I think you probably should, but I don't, like
because you do the stress does come out. It just may bleed into something else that becomes unhealthy because you're not directing it to a way that could be healthy for you doesn't mean it doesn't come out. Sometimes it comes out. You might be, not you, but some people may beat their wife, be abusive. Some people take it out on their children, right? Some people overeat. Some people become unhealthy. So you directing it in a way that could be healthy. Well, listen, I'm going to run the track. I'm going to go to the golf. I'm going to go ride a bike.
But see, personally, when you say stuff like that and men, it comes out, that's I don't know how else to put this, but to put it, that's weak men. Not having control over their emotions.
But the control is what's driving the stress. As a woman who is sometimes, not even sometimes, who, especially since I had my children, is a lot about control. I can come home and my children I have no control over them, no matter what. I think I know about them. They gonna do what they want to do. I can have a plan in my head to say, when we come home, all right, it's 3:30. They're gonna do homework for an hour, and then we're gonna eat, and then I'm gonna clean the kitchen, and they're gonna be in bed by 8:30. Well, baby, they have another plan, okay? And the lack of control tends to stress me out because I have a plan. Like, okay, when they go to bed at 8:30, I'm gonna finish these clients. Well, if I don't, and I become the anxiety in me starts to build up as I'm going off my schedule. I have less control. So if I can't deal with not having control, Farrah, just going outside and walk. Go in the closet and pray. You know you don't have no control over this situation because you can't control everything. I am better than trying to tighten the reins and have more control.
But that example shows that it shows the development in that thinking, because you can't control everything. And so with that being said, I'm not saying that your children
but
should
you
just
just
be
said
loosey.
as a man who does that shows him not having control. And I
Right,
think
no,
that's
so it's two- so
okay
it's- so
for a
it's two
man to
different-
go, I am feeling overwhelmed in this position. I don't have control. My business is not doing what it needs to do. Maybe my family life, my marriage is not doing what it needs to do. I am mentally exhausted in this realm. I'm recognizing this. I need an outlet. That's
Right,
all
but-
I'm saying.
And I agree with that. But I think I'm saying as a man, like, but what becomes your outlet? Like, what, and who are you professing this to? Who are you telling this to? I mean, as a, have you ever had conversations with your husband and he mention of this stuff? Like, hey, I'm feeling, I'd be willing to bet, and I don't sleep with him, that he hasn't. And it's
to certain extents. And then he shuts down because he's like, I don't feel like I can. And that's society. But I feel like men should.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't.
Because it's unhealthy.
Right. But
as
for
men are dying at a higher rate from stress than women.
But it has to be a purposeful situation. Meaning, if I'm bringing this up in my mind as a man, because most men lead, you're supposed to, right? At least that's how I put us. If I'm bringing this up, it has to have forward momentum into some type of resolve. But most men don't get that, and they don't feel that. And I don't think that it's by society. I just think that because I think that's all men. I don't care what race, color, creed, whatever it looks like. You don't have no other man has the same type of stressors as other men. Most of us have the likeness, but from a man to a woman, we for sure don't have the same type of stressors as women. So I'm coming to you, and then think about how that ruined marriages. Because first of all, I'm coming to you with all my stuff. Then you coming to me with all your stuff. So, somebody ain't hearing the other person because you want to be heard and you feel like your voice should be. Somebody has to suffer here.
No. No one has to suffer.
I'm not saying.
If you're coming to me,
be clear with that. I'm saying not necessarily suffer, but sometimes something has to take a back seat for a little while. That's what I'm saying.
For sure, and that's give and take in a marriage or a relationship, right? And if you're coming to me as my husband and saying, "Hey, I'm stressed," right? The business is taking a toll. I really feel yada 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 yada, and I feel like I don't have the space and the capacity to deal with that. Then I might say, "Hey, well, listen." Go talk to the counselor. Go talk to your mentor. Go talk to a friend that you feel you could trust. Go talk to your uncle. Go talk to your dad. Go talk to your spiritual advisor or leader.
And I'm saying,
and men need to have those.
And I'm saying, unfortunately, men don't have it. That's what I'm saying. Men don't have it. Most men are to themselves, and I made peace with it because what it made me do was get stronger in my faith. And I started to read the Bible. I'm starting to pray more. I'm like really excited for Ramadan that's coming up because that's kind of where I feel into my superpower. And I've done all the things. I've talked to certain people, and then
because stress never leaves. We have to learn to manage it and mitigate it.
Right, but
it's not like you reach a certain point and go, "Whoo! I reached this plateau. There's no more stress." So as life moves on and evolve, I think you need to have a routine on what you do to handle stress. And I think having a person that you can lean on when things are not looking the way you want to look.
Right, but I think that's natural for you to say because most women have like.
It's not natural. I just told you what I had to go.
No, but I'm saying
definitely not natural. I had to unpack that to make it natural, and it's still not natural.
Right, but that's also like an outlier based off how you was raised. But when you think about most women have a natural companionship of sisterhood. Most men don't build that. That's why women roll in packs. So every time you see them, it's about 5, 10 of them. I don't think it's natural for men to roll like that. I don't think it's natural for men.
Here come the unbiased.
But I'm just being real.
All right. We rolling packs. We rolling packs.
They do.
All right.
You I've never seen a woman who was ever alone somewhere.
Me. Thank you.
Outlier. That's an outlier. You're an only child. That plays a factor. That plays a factor. You're never alone. You got sisters. Like, that's a factor. What I'm telling you is most men, all right, let me put it this way. Most men don't feel in a space where they feel vulnerable enough to be talking to another woman or even another man. Most men have.
Why is that? Why is that? I think that's what.
Because I think
that's what we need to challenge and not say that's the natural state of man.
Because I think that men
need to find spaces where they can be there and create spaces for that.
But from a logical perspective, it just doesn't make sense. Because what are we going to be sitting here doing? What are we going to be doing? What are we going to be doing? And at the end of the day, what do you still have to do? You still got to take care of stuff. I've been in places where I broke down.
That doesn't mean you don't take care of it.
Man.
That doesn't mean you don't. So I think there are that you should have a conference, that you should do things to talk about how you feel. And what do men, as black men, what do we do to change that?
I don't know. That's not a question for me, because I don't know, because I think it affects business. I think it affects a whole lot of stuff.
It does affect business.
I think it is, but I just formed the opinion that it is what it is.
The statistics we brought out maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago and talked about black business, right? Where most black businesses don't have employees. They are one-man show, right? Why? And some of that, to me, is our inability to recognize how we feel that we need help or that we are out of control, right? I need to release some of the control to bring in people, places, and things that'll help me.
I just think that's people just don't know how to grow and scale a business. That's purely that's now from a woman perspective.
It's not a one size fits all, but it's
probably not.
But it's a combination, because as a man to have a business, you know a certain amount of control needs to be released, and you need to be able to explain your deficiency to bring in the help you need. And if you can't recognize your deficiency and why you're anxious and why most of the times because you're overrun with stuff, but you don't want to recognize that you're anxious, that you're stressed out and you're overrun, and you lack the ability to release control, you'll keep holding it in.
But I think you got to look at.
I think it's a connection there.
I think you got to look at the control different. Take a man. Is first of all, there's causes and effects for everything. You take a man who builds a family. You got to look at it like.
And we can talk about business, right?
I'm talking about it.
We'll take a business.
You take a man who builds a. First of all, for you to take on the duty to build a business, right? No matter what it is, you're already releasing control because you're building the business. That's one thing. You're going to end up having to bring in people who's going to be the trigger of the stressors. Why do I say that? Because you're a business owner, you're the CEO, you're the leader. If I release control and bring in David and his team to record our podcast,
this is less stressful.
Right.
This is amazing.
However,
why? Because I'm not doing it. I've released control.
You gotta listen. However, the leadership ability still falls on us. Even though they run the controls, they're not going to do nothing without our insight or our oversight or our opinion.
For sure, but we lean onto their professionalism. We lean into their professionalism, which releases some of our stress to try to figure this thing out on our own. Right? I'm less stressful. Aren't you less stressful? Just a little. All right. Okay. See, man, he can't. All right. I look at my mentor, E.T., right? When he was able to bring in CJ, releasing some control to help take his business to the next level. He had to recognize I'm at a deficiency. I'm stressed out running, doing something by myself. But if I give it away, it makes I'm less stressful. And I can live a better quality of life. Which is in a direct correlation to solopreneurs. Solopreneurs lack the ability, to me, to recognize where their deficit is, to release the control, to bring in someone else, will, to me, in turn, release less stress. Now, I think it lowers the stress and you can have a more work-life balance. Most solopreneurs run themselves ragged in the hole doing all the things. I got it. You just named all the things. This podcast right here, I am less stressful that I don't have to worry about no lights, no sound. I just show up as the talent and have the conversation that I naturally have with you. I ain't worried about none of this stuff. That's less stressful for me. That means I feel like, one less toe out of the box.
Okay.
All right.
I think I'm just at a point where I can't.
Because you stuck in the natural state of man. Man can't talk about his feelings. He can't be vulnerable. And they have a higher rate of heart disease and high blood pressure. And I think that's a connection of stress.
The truth of the matter is my point is there's going to always be stress. You're gonna never be able to get rid of it.
But you can mitigate it and lower it.
It doesn't mitigate. It just transforms into something else. Because they have to worry about the lights and the sound and all that stuff. I still have to worry about us providing great content. I still have to worry about what they do and how it affects me.
But isn't that less?
It's not less. It's more. Because now
it's subtraction, right? If it's subtraction,
you're not seeing this.
No,
it spreads.
I see it as subtraction.
Well,
that's one less thing. One less thing.
I get it. We still have to manage the fame.
That's one. But I ain't got to manage them. They grown and they are experts in what they do, right?
Okay.
We don't have to tell Dave nothing. He come right up here and go, check, what's the thing? They put it in, they give us the card and say, here. We don't have to check Dave and his team on nothing. Right? We just have to manage us, which makes this better. Now, if we had to manage this and that means we shorten the time to really make this better. If we had to do that too.
I see your point.
Well, he conceded, y'all. He see the point. Where's the bell? Can we get that one for the feminist woman? And I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just mental health is serious, guys. And if you have any stressors, there's a hotline. It's 988. It's a serious thing. It's serious. And I think the mental health in the Black and brown community is at an all-time high because we don't have the space and the capacity to offload and pass our stress on to someone else so we can have a more work-life balance. So we could lower our stress in one area. I don't know the medical term. Someone, I'm sure, will probably tell me in the comments. But the stress levels induce heart attacks, heart disease, heart failure. And that's what most of us die off of, especially our Black men. That's a statistic. I want y'all to live longer.
Okay.
We're going to roll right into tax talk.
Yep. So a scenario from a person says, this is a tax professional accessing the group, right? I have a client that I'm doing their personal taxes. However, he has a business as a partnership with his brother. What's the best way to approach that, right? I'm not doing the other partner's taxes yet. I believe there is one, possibly two additional partners. So we got a client who the tax professional is doing their personal taxes, and to flip it on you, you might be doing your personal taxes, but then you got a partnership with, who's it, what's it, right? How does the partnership affect your tax picture?
So the question is, What's the question again? It's a lot. So
You
it's a
gotta
personal return. It's a tax professional
Right.
that manages, that's going to be preparing the personal taxes.
Right.
However, that the owner or the individual also has a business.
Right, with his brother.
Right, with his brother, and someone else is preparing whatever that business is, whether it's a 1065 or an 1120. So they're waiting for a K-1 of some sort to then prepare the personal.
Right, but I think the question is based off what the tax professional is waiting on. Like, how do you handle the tax picture in this scenario? If I got a business, I'm coming, you doing my taxes.
For sure.
But I got a business, how does this help? Well, how does this affect my taxes?
I think on a putting on my coach tax professional hat, then I would say, hey, this is an opportunity for you to show value, right? To then say, hey, listen, explain to them the business picture. You have a business, or you're in a partnership with someone else. They're going to prepare your business return, right? So you're going to get a K-1, and that's what we're waiting for me to then handle your personal taxes. So, but also know that you can't double dip. All your business expenses for this venture that you're joint need to go on that business return. You can't then give me similar business expenses and say, oh, I want to now write this off on my personal, because some people get confused with that too. The business, the partnership needs to file its own return. So all the income, all the expenses need to go to that business return, whether it's a partnership 1065 or it's an 1120. You're still going to get a K-1 that I will then prepare on with injunction with your personal return. Now, you can still have another business outside of that, but for the partnership you're referencing, we're waiting for the K-1. And so you want to encourage them to be as compliant and as fast as they can so that you can prepare the personal.
There it is, y'all. There you have it. Tax scenario answered. I think it was well answered.
You all right? You want to talk about it?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
Space here. It's
not safe in here.
All right. It's safe.
It's not.
I'm using my safe voice for safe spaces. No, all right. All right, guys. Well, this was another episode of Minding Your Biz. And we talked about mental health today, having the space and capacity to offload some of that. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, subscribe, let everybody know that, please, right? We're trying to grow our channel. That's a wrap, guys. That is a wrap.
We'll see y'all in the next episode. Keep minding your biz.
Here we go. All right.